You went and saw the legend himself, Bryce Young, the future
Yes.
Hall of Famer, Bryce
All
Young.
5'10", 190 pounds of him.
Is there a bust already? Is there a statue already built outside of Bank of America Stadium?
I mean, not right now, but there is space where, there used to be the Jerry Richardson statue.
That's a good point.
So if you
There's
want
a
to
good
put
point.
somebody's statue, if it's not going to be Cam, might as well do Bryce Young.
All right, now I'm curious because you were down there.
Yeah.
Give a perspective when he's out there on the field. Does the size truly show, or the lack of size truly show when he's out there on the field?
So I didn't notice the size until we went to the press conference. We saw the practice first. Then after practice was wrapped up, we did the press conference. Press conference after that, after watching an hour of practice, it's the first time I noticed the size. Now, he doesn't pop out at you. He obviously wasn't the biggest guy on the field, but never did I see anything that he did on the field and think, like, man, that guy's too small. And when they did the 7-on-7s, he looked fine. He looked like he belonged. And he was throwing guys open. He was dotting out there. Austin Proehl was out there as a tryout player, former UNC wide receiver. Of course, his dad, Ricky Proehl, used to be with the Carolina Panthers, played with the Panthers back in 2003 when they had their first Super Bowl
Former
run.
XFL star,
Austin Proehl.
Austin Proehl.
Austin Proehl was interviewed after that, and he has no reason to say anything good. He doesn't know if he's ever going to get called back by the Carolina Panthers. He was talking about how much of a command that Bryce Young had, how he was throwing people open. It's one of the best he's ever seen. The son of an NFL star who's played at a high level himself is saying it's one of the best he's ever seen. And he was like, look, this guy played at Alabama, man. When he goes to the end, he's going to get against LSU. He's going to go against LSU every week in the NFL. He's already done it, so he can do this. And so he had very high marks. I thought that the size didn't seem like an issue. However, again, 7-on-7s, it's different when you don't have 6'5" defensive ends coming at you in live action. So it might look different then. But from what I saw from one practice, the size didn't seem to matter.
Well, here's Carolina Panthers head coach Frank Reich on how Bryce Young, you talk about how he takes command and communicating. Here's how Bryce Young communicates with his teammates on the field.
I think Bryce will have his own way of getting the most out of guys. I'm not one of those guys. I've never been one of those guys that thinks that there's just one way to do that. In fact, I think that for guys who try to do that and it's not natural who you are, it usually backfires. So I think it's everybody has their style. Certainly Bryce has been very successful, with his style. So the biggest thing we want for him is just be yourself.
And one thing I thought was also interesting too, Dennis, is that I've covered rookie mini camps, OTAs, all of that before. And typically for the Carolina Panthers, there's a particular spot where right as they enter the practice field, if you're the media, if you're there maybe an hour ahead of time, you can typically catch everybody walking in, making their way to the practice field so you can get video of the walk-ups. Because as the media, we can't film the entire practice, so you get as much video as you possibly can. So that's exactly what I decided to do Friday. I wanted to get there early enough for that. It was me and the guy from WFNY in Greensboro. We were the first 2 TV cameras out there.
Yeah.
And we get to the field to catch the walk-ups, and we look over to the field. Bryce Young already running drills with much of the offensive unit that was there. The only people that really came up were the guys on defense because they weren't already on the field. But he was already running plays with Austin Proehl, with Jonathan Mingo, who the Panthers took in the second round, a wide receiver, and with other wide receivers. His practice habits are already there, and that's exactly what Frank Reich was bragging about after they drafted him number 1 overall.
Well, Reich talked about that on Young's first practice as a Carolina Panther and really setting the tone. So, yeah, again, Bryce Young, it's actually a Bryce Young on his first practice. My apologies. It's not Frank Reich talking about it. This is Bryce Young talking about it. My apologies. As a Carolina Panther and setting the tone for the team.
Huge day for me. This is my first day of practice. It was a lot of fun. So, of course, I wanted to set the tone. I was just here trying to get stuff down like we all were. We've talked about it a lot as a team. Being prepared, making sure that in this rookie mini camp, we've talked about the themes of the team, and one of them is making sure that we're prepared and to do what we want to do. So I think we all here want to make the best first impression we can. There's so much that I'm excited for and want to improve on, and I'm super happy to be here. So I just want to do everything I can to have a good first day and hopefully keep stacking them.
What just overall, what were your impressions of him?
His answers, I think if I go through 18 weeks of those types of answers, it's boring. Let's just be real.
But just overall, your impressions of him.
But
you
know
were
what?
there. You saw it.
That could be
eyewitness news. I want it.
That could be a good thing, though, right?
Maybe.
Like, being boring isn't always a bad thing.
Depends.
Because, we got a chance to cover Baker Mayfield last year. He's flashy, but where does that get you? Right? So I like Bryce Young. I think he's going to be good for the Carolina Panthers. And they're actually back on the practice field today where he's going to take most of the second-team reps, but they're going to work him up to take first-team reps in their offseason program. This will be his first time practicing with the entire team. He was just with the rookies this past week. So I want to see what the reports are coming out of practice this week as he's going up against Marquise Haynes and Yetur Gross-Matos and all these real huge defensive linemen that he's going to have to see on a weekly basis in the NFL. But my impressions are this guy's legit. He's for real. He is a leader, and the Carolina Panthers will be better because of it. Does that mean they win a Super Bowl? I don't know. That's a huge jump. But the Carolina Panthers will be better because of Bryce Young if he's on the field.
Does he start week 1?
You know what? Initially, I was thinking no, that maybe it's going to be Andy Dalton's job to lose, or when Andy Dalton loses, that he'll be ready. But if he's already going out on the field an hour ahead of time to practice plays, to get everything down, and we're not even talking about anything that is he's doing – this is all the voluntary stuff, right? When you have to be there for mini camp and for training camp, he might have it down. They've already said he's a fast learner. He's a quick learner. So there's a chance he does start week 1. I'm not going to definitively jump on a ledge and say he will, but I think there's a higher chance that he starts week 1 right now than what it was before.
Okay. All right, I'm going to take your word on that. I'm still skeptical because of the frame, but based off everything everyone tells me that he has everything else in terms of pocket presence, all those kinds of things, to be a great NFL quarterback. Time's going to tell.
One of the things I like for him right now, of course, is the Panthers' dedication to the offensive line. This organization has not been dedicated to the offensive line.
Yeah, you don't want an Andrew Luck situation.
So with the line that they had last year, that's great. Everybody's going to return once everybody is done with their injuries. But they also added Chandler Zavala. They've also added a few other pieces in free agency. Chandler Zavala, the fourth rounder from NC State. He was out there rookie minicamp this past weekend too. He looks big, fast, and he's he's going to push people around as well. So when he's behind guys like that, Bryce Young, I think Bryce Young is going to be absolutely okay because he knows when to get the ball out. He's not going to be holding it too long.